Everyone.
Recorded.
Um, yeah, I think this is my first one that I've been at since coming back from maternity leave, so I'm back at it. Where our group right now is mainly focused on data analysis. If there's quite a few posters and talks from AFSC going on at the Mariculture conference, so look out for ones on oyster growth in the Evo spill region, habitat provisioning of kelp farms, bull kelp research squad updates, and prevalence of mud blister worm in Alaska oyster poster. Unfortunately, I will not be at the conference. Right now, we're focusing a lot as well on planning summer projects in our newly operational oyster hatchery space. So we're always open to ideas or collaboration from folks in this group, students. So please, we intend it to be this collaborative platform serving the industry. Thanks.
Thanks, Jordan.
Thanks, Jordan.
Next
Uh,
up,
Next up.
got a little bit of feedback. Thanks for muting, Jordan. Next up on the list, Michelle Morris from ADF&G. Dan, I see you here, and we're keeping questions to the end, if that's okay.
Hello. So I got to go to Aquaculture America last week. That was pretty entertaining to meet with a lot of different policy and state regulators. We had a separate workshop that the University of Mississippi held because of their um, nationwide kind of web tool that they had developed to cross-reference all the aquaculture policies across the nation. And since I helped put that together, they had us come for a workshop and talk about reporting requirements and how does that affect our policies. And we learned Alaska is the place to be, basically, in the short run of things. So that was pretty interesting to hear from other people. In the meantime, I am trying to wrap up data summaries for 2025. I am still missing 20 annual reports out of the 109. So um, I need people to turn in their reports, and so I can get the data out. I have quietly let it go live on the Fishing Game website. Please take it with a grain of salt if you see it. Again, missing quite a few. However, the majority of the ones I'm missing, I don't think are going to be big, impactful information when they do come in. They're basically the names I recognize of being not very productive farms or brand new farms who may not even be in the water yet, that kind of thing. So it's not going to make a huge change, but kind of looks like right now oyster sales to the public has gone up. Kelp harvest went up, not necessarily sales went up, but harvest went up back to where it was a couple of years ago. And then hopefully I can get some more stuff in so I can report that at the Mariculture Conference in a couple of weeks.
Awesome. Thanks, Michelle. Nice to hear that we're trending in the right direction on oyster sales and co-production. Dan, with an update from SEC. Good afternoon.
Hello, everyone. Always a challenge to figure out what to talk about with this big breadth of the grant, but we're certainly we got a lot of irons in the fire trying to maximize the impact of it as we hit the 1 year out here. Most all the projects will wind down by the end of the year, but our grant does have an extension through May of 2027 for at least for us to close it out. Some of the recent things that you've seen come through the new brand package, AMA's working with us on managing the marketing team, and there's a new brand for Alaska Mariculture that's been launched. That's exciting work. We'll see that percolate through various trade shows and other venues this year. We have a blog post on our website from last month analyzing or just announcing this hands-on farm training projects that were funded in partnership with Alaska Mariculture Alliance, Sea Grant, Kodiak Ocean Growers, and Oceans Alaska. We are hosting a meetup of our kelp seed quality RFP, kelp seed quality and fish and game teams tomorrow morning. We'll post videos from those teams as they present little updates on their work on our website. And then we'll have a discussion just meant to be between those projects on collaborating, and excited about some of the potential outgrowths of at least one of the projects that would involve a little bit of exploration around sterile seed and breeding of kelp for or strain selection for Alaska. So similar to it, if it's very early, but some interesting proposal and discussion around that. And equipment purchases have really picked up in the last month. So folks like Cirque and Seward are buying equipment, and others are getting their purchasing documents in. So we're seeing a lot of progress there. And I know there are other things I wanted to talk about, but Alex Fuller may touch on some of the other R&D work we've done. We have a RFP that closed recently for a succession planning contractor, and we're still drafting that contract, but that work will start slowly over the spring, and then in earnest in the summer with that contractor. And we have an RFP out right now for business planning tools, and that closes in next week. And that'll help be part of our revolving loan fund and general support for business development in Alaska Mariculture. So I'll leave it there, open to questions at the end.
Awesome. Thanks for the update, Dan. And then rounding out the list I have for presenters, we have Alex Heller from AFDF. Good afternoon, Alex. Thanks for joining.
Hello. Yeah, sorry I was late. Had another meeting run over. Yeah, so I'll just quickly share my screen. There's some updates on the seaweed tissue analysis data from both 2025 and 2024. And then also we have all of the GIP3 projects. One second here. Can share this. Okay. So what you're seeing here, we have been able to put together statewide averages of the farmed seaweed that was collected this past harvest season from 13 different farms. So this is sort of how we've laid out. For now, we're working with Marine Biologics to put together sort of this like web database tool, but we have decided to keep everything at a sort of statewide average level rather than specific farm or regional level. So we're very excited to have all of this data. And finally, we're still waiting on some final results of allergen testing. And then we also did further laminarin and phacoidin testing with a different lab in France, but this will be up on AMC and AFDF websites hopefully within the week. Jordan Hawkswell has been working with me on getting together just like a brief rep to go along with these goals, and then Spencer's going to be presenting at the conference, sort of a like sneak preview what that web tool will look like. And we do have the 2024 report as well. This was in collaboration with Marine Biologics, so this will be great to use kind of in hand with the farmed results. This report was, yes, it's just a reminder, 24 analysis was all wild samples collected in Sitka and in Kodiak. So there's more descriptions and sort of an in-depth look at the variations and just sort of what all of these analytes are and what we found across different species and samples. And then lastly, we have 9 new. This is just we're working on a write-up for this too, but I'll just give you a look. We have 9 projects that we've awarded for the rounds. This is the smaller rounds. These range from 20,000 to 50,000 for innovations in product development. So we'll be sharing more in-depth project summaries on all of these, and they're all starting to get going. So I'll leave it at that, but that's what we have. Yeah, moving at the moment and really looking forward to the conference coming up in a week and a half. It's been a lot of work with Sea Grant to get everything organized, but we're excited it's going to be a great event.
Yeah, excited as well. And then I guess we do have one more to throw into the mix. Molly with a brief update from AMA. If I can put you on the spot, Molly.
Sure. Oh, let me turn my video on. Sorry. I will just give a quick update that our photo contest is open and we are still hoping to get some more submissions. So if anyone has fun mariculture photos, our broad theme is growing into the future. And then our category are faces or the people of the industry and research and the whole mariculture ecosystem. Anyway, faces, places. So that's landscape, scenery, labs, I don't know, kitchens, anywhere that you're sort of working with the mariculture products, and then products. So kelp, shellfish, other species. And I will drop a link in the chat to enter those. And we do have cash prizes this year, like usual, but we'll also be giving away some of the new Alaska Mariculture hoodies to all the winners as well. Dan mentioned we have that brand, and I'll drop a picture of a hoodie in there too. Thanks, Jason.
Thanks, Molly. Yeah, so thank you everybody for being so succinct in your presentations. We do have a fair amount of time left over for any questions that folks might have for our presenters. You can just take yourself off mute and throw a hand up or what have you. But yeah, if anybody has any questions for anybody that presented earlier, Alex.
I have a question for Dan on the RFP that's open for the business, like for the contractor for business planning. How how are you picturing that contractor working with Spruce Root, and like how many, like what kind of services are you thinking they will provide? And is it something where they're like offering those, the grant is paying for those services to be offered to different businesses, or businesses can pay for layers? I guess I'm just like I've been getting some questions about it from um, some of the emerging businesses that I've been working with through the JIT project, and just we didn't get a chance to talk about this at our last meeting. Just curious.
Okay. Yeah, I think there are, as you sort of alluding to, there's existing services available for businesses that want some coaching through so Spruce Root, and they can get pretty extensive help, including different tools that are already available for planning out your business in mariculture. I think this is just an opportunity to provide additional support or more mariculture specific or deeper development of product cost of production modeling, for instance, for kelp processing or farming or oysters. It's complementary, and we envision them working together, but we won't necessarily force that to happen if, there's lots of different fits for different businesses, and we don't know what proposals we're going to get, but there's other tools, through Sea Grant or University of Alaska Fairbanks related to business planning as well that are funded through the grant. And but yeah, we do see it as likely a support that Spruce Root will utilize, but it won't necessarily have to work through Spruce Root to utilize. I think these are more mariculture specific experts maybe that would be developing these tools rather than business planning experts like Spruce Root has it, or more generalists.
Okay.
That's my thought anyway.
Thank you.
Any other questions for our presenters today?
Did
you have a question earlier? Yeah, go ahead.
For Alicia, I was wondering about the he called it an aquaculture explorer. Is there, sounds like we'll learn more when there's these workshops, but it just for because I have some ideas that might want to know sooner. What is the vision for that? Is it similar to what the mariculture map that AOS has right now is doing, where it's a tool to understand all different types of data related to siting your farm and permitting a farm, or is it specific more to would it be a home to roll out other tools that we've developed, that data sources that we've developed that help with
That's
that?
yeah, it's a good question. And I think part of what the discussion will be of like, we have all of these tools out right now, and how are we trying to integrate all of this information in one place? I think part of the vision for the Aquaculture Explorer is for, the digital atlas or the atlas itself. NOAA had pretty prescribed planning goals, right? So it's like of a certain size, at a certain depth, and all of these within these study areas. And so we recognize like folks may be interested in spaces outside of what we analyzed. And we wanted to be able to provide, the best available kind of spatial data to help with those siting questions and to help deconflict zones across state waters in Alaska. So part of it was to try to like provide as much information to the public as possible within and outside of potential areas.
Okay. And is Chris Scalacci still a major contact on that effort as well?
Yeah, so Chris will be presenting at the workshop, and if you want, we're happy to also have like pre-workshop conversations. So it might be good to just touch base and pick your brain about some ideas you might have for it.
Okay. Yeah, I'd be open to that for sure.
Awesome.
I think we're trying to look at how to roll out some data that we're creating through this big modeling project that Kelson Marine is doing. We're also looking at that mariculture map and whether, there's that AOS has and whether there's a need to refresh that. And so that sounds very similar to what you're doing. I just want to make sure we coordinate.
Absolutely, that'd be great. And I know Chris is in conversations with Kelson and how to integrate that data. So yeah, I think it'd be good to touch base.
Yeah,
And Alex, of
Sam
course, will be involved. So.
Yeah, and Sam with Rick with Kelson is going to be at the workshop on Monday.
Yeah. Great question, Dan. Thanks for the answer, Alicia. Any other questions for our presenters? All right.
Sorry, one more. Michelle, in 2027, so this is about the time that you analyze the annual report data and get it out. I'm just trying to think through some steps that will be happening in 2027 and when that kind of updated data might be available that year. I know typically it comes out a little bit later, but can you refresh my memory?
Yeah, so annual reports are due January 30th every year. So, like I said, I'm missing 20% of them right now. I usually, hopefully, get everything in by the end of March. And so, usually around end of March, April, I'll kind of do my little blast summary out to everybody. Hopefully, by then, I'll have most of the things I've been sending, reminder emails and stuff to people and try and gather it. And then usually the Mariculture conference is a little earlier than it is this year, so I can physically see people and be like, sit down with me right now and let's get this done. But like I said, it's live right now, but I'm still kind of QCing the data a little bit, and also it'll change a little, but I don't expect a whole lot will change. But again, this is, if you look at kelp seasons or stuff like that, like 2025 is planting, won't be harvested until 2026, which means I don't get it till 2027. So you got to think kind of like 2 years out on kelp harvest stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Well, of course, I'm thinking about our final report on our grant and incorporating some of that information, but I think the timing will work. So I'm just all excited, hopefully, to see some growth materialize and that the scales that we're hoping for. So
Yeah, and as soon as I get the information compiled, I send it to DNR. So Fish and Game can't release financial information, so I can
Right.
only give you numbers as far as like pounds harvested or quantities. I can't give out the dollar value, but DNR can. So you have to put in a request with DNR for dollar value.
Good to know. Thanks, Michelle. Last call for questions. All right. Thank you so much to our presenters for joining us today and giving an update. Really appreciate it. I see Michelle just put something in the chat. Make sure you check that link out before you hop off. Yeah, thank you all. Hope to see a bunch of you next month at the conference. Until then, take care and have a great one.
Thanks, Jason.